Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In this video I will be showing you on how to set up a Redis database and host your own Atlas server grids with the capabilities of multiple machines. I had a lot of problems figuring this out and there was barely any information about it, and I will also show you on how to fix your map that it does show up without downloading any files. So I will go in great details on showing you how I did it, and this will be probably a little bit of a long video, but I will go in as much details as I possibly can. So as you can see, I am online in the server 1_02 version 18.31. and it's a custom Atlas server. So I will go exit and I will show you that it is actually live. So we go join, and then it's the first one, select, and it actually shows up the entire grid. Now this is a 4x4 grid, but depending on how you set it up, you can host more or less grids. So I will be going in great details showing you how I did it. So let's exit the game and I will show you at my server because it's quite complex. We have the Redis database as well. So what I've done, I've installed this one, which will be downloadable. So look for this, and I will post it in the video comments as well. So let me make a new text note so I can give you the name and you can simply just copy the name. So that's the first one that I installed and set it up. So to start, if you already know the process on downloading the Atlas server information and so on, I'm going to be skipping that because there are a lot of tutorials out there actually showing you how to do that. But the trick is the Redis database and how to configure that. So first I will be showing you the server directory, and I will not be able to show you all of it because this server is currently running. But you would have to believe me. So once you install the Redis, there will be a couple of things changed. So first you will find that Redis will install itself if you use the default settings, that it will install itself under C program files /Redis, and then you will get a couple of files here. Now, if you use the installation, it will also install itself as a server host here, which you will have to turn off, and I will explain in a little bit why, because personally I wanted to, the way that I set it up, I'm going to show you how I did it and not how the rest works. This could be fine-tuned later, but for now, I'm going to show you how this works. So in order to get this, let's go from the start. We go here, then we go settings. Where was it? Search, and then control panel, then this one, and then you go to servers, because after you install it, it will automatically run and it will be in this list. So you scroll down until you find Redis, which will be here. Then click the stop button, then right click properties and disable it. And I will tell you why, because the way that I did it is I wanted to have a separate command prompt. So after you've done that, we can actually start the configure of this file. So you see a couple of files here. You're going to select the first one and make a copy. So copy and place it in the same directory. Continue. And then you're going to rename this. You can name it whatever you want. And for this, I'm just going to rename it test. just to make it easy. So now we have our new config. So make sure you click this one and copy the Redis Windows config. Once you've done that, you can open it with Node++. And then you see something similar to this. Now, if you want your server database to go outside of the world, if you use multiple grids, like I do, like this server right now can only host 4 grids at a time. And that's the maximum this computer can handle. Now, in order for this to be worldwide, you need to change this bind, which will be in this config. Let me close the other ones. So the test config that we just created, you need to change this to 0.0.0.0, and now this will be worldwide, which you will need to host a Redis database server. Now keep in mind, I am not 100% sure how this works properly, but I managed to get it to work for me. Now, Redis originally does not support outside connections unless you do it like this. Not recommended, but if you're hosting multiple grids, you kind of need like multiple computers because you can only host 4 grids at a time, depending on how powerful your computer is. So I have my own computer as well, which is hosting a couple of grids. If I want to, I will get into that later. So change the bind to 00 in the new test config that we created. Now scroll down and then we see default ports. Now keep in mind that this is the default port, and I can change this to, like, let's say 85. Now we're gonna scroll down and make sure that I didn't miss anything. I think that was basically it. So you only have to change those two to the port that you prefer. So that would be this one. So once you've done that, you can now save it. Yes, run as admin. And now that one is saved with the worldwide config port. And with this port. So let's write that right down because I have another file which you will need. Hold on. Let me just grab it real quick if I can find it. Just command series because you will need them later. So let me copy this real quick. And then this I will need to change, which I will show you in a bit, to test, because that's the file that we're configuring right now. So we save that. Now, for the client, it's going to be different. So this is the server, startup. And this is the client. The client can be accessed from any computer if you have the ports forwarded on your router, which I will need to do as well. But this will vary from your own router, and I cannot go into much details of that. So this is the one that you will need, and I need to change the port. This is my world IP, and this number is different from you. You can go to the website or Google and go, what's my IP? What's my IP? And it will show you your IP address. Now this is something you will need later. So this is my IP, and the port that we configured for this client is 85. So like I said, this is something you will need later. I will post this in the thingy as well. Now keep in mind, I will delete this. So this, if you type this, it will not work for you because this is my IP and not yours. And I will delete this client later. This is just for showing and demo purposes. So that will be that specific file, which would be the config file that we're making right here. So now that is saved, we can actually close it. And now for the tricky part. So now we have created this, but we haven't created the rest of the database yet. So first we need to start up the server, which will be needing command prompt, which you can go in the bottom, cmd, and you will see command prompt and run it as an admin. And then yes. And this is on the same machine that you're hosting the Redis server. And then you will need the following command lines. So first cd, and you get this one. I hope you guys can see that because it's really tiny. Then the following location, as I said, if you use the default, this will be the command lines. And then we're going to start the server test.conf that we just created. And that is the Redis database. Now, as you'll see, the port is the port that we configured, and the server will now be able to accept commands. And as I said, this is my Redis database, which runs on a different port for these servers right here. Now you set it up the Redis database, which you will need to open every single time you restart the server. You will need to do it like this. This is the way that worked for me personally. So hopefully this will be helpful to you as well. And this is running on a Windows server. So it should be relatively easy to set up once you know how it works. It took me 2 weeks to figure out, and this is what I come up with that worked for me. Now, client-wise, you can go to any computer in your household, but before you do that, you need to make sure that you open up your ports in your modem. So in this case, it will be this one. Let me just log in. Give me a moment. So I'm using this modem, which would look completely different to you. Then we go to IP forwarding. Now I need to make a new application, which will be server. And I will need to make a new application called Redis. This is just something I'm just going to type for demo purposes. I will change this later. Then we click apply. And then we're going to add the port that we set it up to be, which will be this. We're going to copy that, paste it, and we're going to forward all those ports, and then apply. Now this application has been made. Now we're going to go to the host itself. So first we're going to select where the application falls under. Then it's the test database Redis. And then you will need the local IP address of that server that you're hosting the Redis server on. So in this case, it will be 192. That one .2.3 in my case. Now this will be different for you probably. And we have selected the application Redis database, apply. And now we have forwarded that specific port that I just created. So now we're done with the modem. So now outside connections will be redirected to this server. Now, you can go to your own computer or with any computer in the network. It doesn't matter. Then we're going to go command prompt again, cmd, and run it as admin. And my apologies that the screen grows back. It will come back. Just hold a minute. I'm going to move this to the side so you won't get confused. So now we're going to type the following commands. Keep in mind, you will have to install the Redis data, which I will make a separate downloadable file for you. But then again, I'm not quite sure if I will do it or not. because it will be different. Now this, once you install it from the same file, it will be a little bit different, but don't get too confused. Let's continue with this. So first, like I said, I have also installed Redis on my computer, which will be on program files, and there we have the Redis, but I haven't touched anything in this config. But keep in mind, once you install that Redis as well, that it will also run under, let me get the control panel if I can find it. It will also run in here, which you will need to deactivate on your own computer, or else you might get a conflicting problem. So here we need to find Redis, which is currently running, I think. We stop it, and then properties, and then deactivate or disable, apply, and now that server is shut down, so you won't get confused. That's the only handling you have to do every time you install Redis. There are different ways of installing Redis, but the most important thing is that you have the files installed, which will be this location. Like, this is still the default location, the same as the server itself, and the one that you're interested in is this one, the client. So as long as you have these files in the same location, you will be able to do this. So for the client version, we go this cd, and then the following line, which I will put in the video description. And keep in mind, this is all in the default. And then we're gonna copy the last line, which will vary for you with the IP address and the port that you've put it in. Then you press enter, and then you will see that it is connected. And if we type ping, the server will reply with pong, as you can see here. So now your new Redis database, which would be this one, is now receiving the data from a different computer, where we connected to the IP through the world, because this is my world IP address, which will be 84.80.123.40, and the port that we created for the Redis database. So as you can see here, we connected. Here we connected, we type ping, and we get pong as return. That's how you set up your Redis database for your world server, which will allow you to host multiple grids on different machines for Atlas. Now, once that is set up, you will need to go to the Atlas part, which will be, once you installed it, I opened up too many. Hold on, let me close that. Yeah, I know. Let me redo that. So we go to the C drive, that's where I install my Atlas server. Then we go to the Atlas. And then if you already have the server editing program, which will be this one, then you know how this works. I'm just gonna, for demo purposes, I'm just gonna do a 1x1 grid to make it easier. I could make a 2x2. Actually, let me load up a 2x2. Make it more easier to see. So 2x2. So you want to host these 4 servers. Okay. Now, if you know how the general works of this, I'm not gonna go into it because there are a lot of things. So you know how to make this grid, yada yada yada. Now for the database part. This needs to be your world IP address, which we got, which is in this case, this number. You will post that here on every single one of them. Now the port is the port that we configured for that particular new database, which will be this one. So we're going to copy this. And we're going to replace the ports for that database to be there. Now, I do recommend changing the password, but don't make it too complex because Atlas does not like it. So I would recommend putting like a number like 33 behind it or something similar to that. But for demo purposes, I'm just going to put it like this, just to make it easy. Now, for the world map to be fixed, so players can actually see the names and the map once they open up their map, you will need to do a little thing first after you exported this whole thing. So I'm just going to do it like this. We're going to close that for now, and we're going to do a specific config. So like I said, you know how this works. The names, yada yada yada. The IP, if you're the only one going to host, personally, I prefer to make that. What worked for me is to make this your world IP for every sector that you are hosting. Then this needs to be 27000, and each sector needs to have their own port. Now, like I said, I am not going into much detail of this. It's just to give you an example. So now we have the first server zone configured, and we can do this with the other one as well. Make this your world IP, and the ports should be different. Keep in mind, this needs to be the same. This needs to be the same as well. This is your world IP. Now you can make a name for them as well, but it's a hassle. And this one as well. So now we have all 4 grids are world IP. So if you have like 5 machines, as long as they are at the same location on the same network, this will work. Now, as I said before, you can export them and yada yada yada. I'm not going into it. You know how it works. So now another thing. If you exported all of them, which I will need to load the original one, so hold on. Open. So give me a moment. Now I'm not going to show all of it because I have configured this. So this is my original server. So you can see the ports are all configured and so on and so on. Now, as I said before, I cannot show you all of it, but I can show you a piece. So you can see here that this is my world IP configured, and the ports are behind that. And this is the ID map, yada 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 stuff. And here is where it becomes interesting. If you want to fix it so that people are able to see your map, I would recommend uploading them to a website and then make it like this. So this, if you copy this into your web browser, you will be able to see that server grid, which will be like that. That is the entire map that you will see once you connect to the server. Now, if you open up your map in the game, that will be a different directory, which I cannot show you, which will be something like this, which I will also post in the link below. So as you can see, I uploaded the pictures to my server itself, but instead of a name behind it, so instead of having this one, this has been removed because everything behind the slash will be the individual. As you will see, if you click it, it will have no idea which file you're looking for, because each individual grid has their own unique picture ID. So if we actually go look into the server, which I will be able to show you here, we go to this one, and then I need to find my website. It would be here, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's not. Where's my web? It's under here? No. Okay, I can't find my web. Okay, this is embarrassing. Where? It should be this one. Yeah, here it is. So Here I created the Atlas server, which will be the underscore, which we'll be seeing here. Atlas underscore server map grid. So that would be Atlas server map grid, and here you will see all the individual pieces of the map that I uploaded for every single sector. So that's why it cannot load it, because it's an individual grid with any map that you're looking at will be posted behind that line. And that's how you fix your black map issue for other players. They don't have to download anything, and it makes your life a lot easier. So after that's done, you can go a little bit more into the config settings, which I cannot really show you right now. But once you set all of that stuff up and you export it to map and you know how that part works, your server should be connecting to that specific database that you set it up. So I'm going to close this rundown right now, and it will look something like this if you actually have the program for it. So this is the program that I use to connect to my database. So here you will see that I have like the clusters, player ID, and here's the world IP, which the database connects to. So you can see it right now. So to make another example, I will make another quick one. Let's see. No, I don't really have to, but you get the point. So now your server will automatically connect to the database, and if you have this program, if you know how it works, give me a second because I need to make sure that the password isn't showing. Hold on. Okay, yeah, okay. This should do. So as you can see here in the database configuration settings, the default world IP address and the port, and of course the password. And if I open up that database and refresh it, we get all the Atlas data that we need. And that's how you set up your Redis and Atlas data server. So yeah, that's basically all there is to it. You create your config file, and you open it with Node++. You change the port to whichever port you want, which you will need to forward. And then you change the bind to 0000, and that should work for your Redis server. Now, every single time you close your Redis server, you need to type the following commands on your server-hosted computer, which will be this command right here. And that is if you used this installation and you did the exact same thing that I have done. You go to your servers, and then you scroll down to find Redis, and you shut it down, because you don't want it to collide with the one that you created. So let me see if I can find it again. There we go. We have Redis disabled, and you stop the server, so it will not boot up. So every time you want to start up that specific folder that you created, you have to redirect it to this command in command prompt. This is the name of the file, which will be the test, and it will launch that database. So that's how I did it. That's how I managed to get it to work. So I hope this video was helpful to you guys. To me, if anybody else had this video earlier, it would save me up 2 weeks of agony. Because it literally took me 2 weeks to figure that out. And there wasn't that much information about it. So that's how it works. And as you can see, I have multiple configs. And here I have the original data server configured. So I can show you even. So this is the exact same file that I'm running right now. You see the bind is 00. And you will see the port has been port 81. Which will be this one right here, which I am able to connect to through the database, which is the Atlas server config that I created from this original file. Like I said and I showed you earlier in the video, you copy this file, you rename it and change the numbers and host it through the commands I will post in the description. Now, like I said before, this was extremely helpful to me. So I hope this was helpful to you. And this is how you host your own dedicated server. Now, keep in mind, like I said before, this is my own server computer. So you can see I'm using Windows 10 Home. With this is the processor. And if you look at mine, it's a completely different version of Windows with a different processor as well. So this is my server, which is a dedicated computer. You can also use a virtual machine, not recommended, because the config might be different. And this is how I did it with a dedicated computer that is dedicated to host this. Now, as I show you, these are the grids that are currently running. And this is all assuming that you know how that works, which are a lot of videos out there showing you how to do it, but there are no videos out there that actually shows you how to set up your own dedicated Atlas survival or Atlas server with your own database. Because most tutorials will show you like, hey, go to this website or a third party that's not hosting it, you're renting it, and you have to pay for it in order to get that service. This is completely 100% free. The only thing you have to pay is the power bill because you have to run that computer. So if you have a spare computer and you want to host your own server, this is how I did it. This is how you can do it. And it helped me out a lot. Now, as I said before, I had to buy a program to connect to a database, which is a separate program, which you can download and pay for, but it's not necessarily needed. It will only make it a lot easier if you have to wipe the server. Other than that, don't touch anything else. And this is also assuming that you know how to create those batch files, which are a lot of tutorials out there as well. So I am not going into that. This is purely on how to set up your own Redis server and your own database where your servers connect to. Now, these four are the current ones that I'm hosting. And because I already set it up the exact same files that were created with that server world editor, we have the exact same files here. Let me show you. We have the exact same files in this one, which would be under here, shooter games. These files that we exported, and you know how it works, are the exact same. So if we go to the database, you will see that the database is the exact same as the one that we're hosting here, which will allow us to actually host another server grid on a separate computer without having any issues. So let's start up data center 2 or a 5th grid, and this will automatically connect to the new database, which you're hosting yourself, which will be this one in my case. We just have to wait until that server comes online, and I will show you that it connects to the new database. Unfortunately, keep in mind this number will change. This is just for demo purposes. And I'm just going to show you that the server is live. So now you will see that the server is connected to the world IP right there. And the server is now up and running on my computer. And you will see server 2_22 was the name that I assigned to that specific server, which I can show you as well. So let's open up that folder again, because I probably closed it already. Yes, I did. So we go to your arc where your server grid is. And I will show you that it is indeed that specific server. This one open. So you will see that it's this grid right here with the port, and you will see that it is here server 2_22, which is server 2_22, which is the third grid from these. So these 4 are hosting by this server, and now I'm hosting this grid on my own computer. And this will work. So that's how you do it. Assuming, like I said, that you know how the rest works, which I'm not going into details. And that's how you host your own dedicated server for free. So, like I said, the only thing you have to pay is the power bill and the hardware, but this will work for now and it works for me. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this information was helpful to you guys. Feel free to check out my other videos, and I hope to see you online. So, thanks again for watching, and see you guys in the next one.